Hey, it says we are live, and I'm hoping we're live. I'm sure we're live right now. It is what, June 28th, 2022. Welcome to Marketing Made Easy. My name is Joey Ragona, and you are who you are. So thank you for being here on the live. Thank you for being here on the replay. Hashtag
Well,
live, by the way, and hashtag replay if you're watching this, wherever you're watching it. And let us know in the comment if you are here, and maybe give us a like or a shout out or a bell or a thingy or whatever it is that is on your platform right now to let us know that you're here and you are doing and we're doing an awesome job here to bring you our thoughts, our advice, our insights on marketing, on how to build a dream business with dream clients. And that is what today is all about. And we're going to be talking a lot about dream business today and what it takes to really create a dream business. And from the conversations I've had with my buddy Scott, who is there now. Hi, Scott.
that was a pretty weak introduction of me, Joey. Normally, there's some fanfare lead up to. It's just like, let me just bring him in and say, "Oh, Scott's here, by the way." Kind
Well,
of
you
like,
didn't let me finish, right? But now you've totally wrecked the intro. So,
why would I let you finish?
um, today we were discussing over the last week or two, especially in the last week, about dream business and how I've had a couple of new insights on what the dream business really means, not knowing. I think that when circumstances happen, you look at things in a different light, and it's just like, wow, this is really what a dream business is all about. So I wanted to, you and I talked about that off camera, and then we said that, why don't we do a show on this, because a lot of it has to do with, like, the guru marketing and stuff, where it's like, yeah, sit on a beach and drink margaritas and all that stuff. It's great, have a great business and all that, but there's more to it. There's more to the dream business, and that's what I want to get into today. And hopefully, if you have a question about what a dream business is, put that into the chat. We'd love to hear from you too. But let's get into this, man. Like, what is there any insight that you have maybe recently about a dream business?
Yes.
Can you share it?
Oh, I think I can. Yeah. Would you like me to?
Yes.
Okay. And we talk often, obviously. Not only do we talk live here once a week for the last 127 weeks, which in itself is pretty incredible that we show up and talk about stuff we love. And after last week's call, we were talking one night about the antithesis of the dream business is what is the opposite of a dream business called and a dream life. And insight, I lived it for 2 years is basically what I did. And you wrote down in one of our calls or something, we came up with the I have to. And to me, the antithesis of a dream life is I have to. I have to do this. I have to do this. I spent 2 years. I have to do this. I have to launch another thing. I have to launch another this. I have to build another product. I have to continually show up every day and do things I really didn't love doing for the sake of building a, not even going to call it a dream business because it's not even, it was a nightmare business. How's that one, Joey?
Wow.
It
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. How do you get
night
away from the nightmare?
because it I had to hold up so many balls constantly and manage so many things and people and platforms to continually launch every other week. Anybody that's been on these calls every other week, it was I just launched another thing. I just built another thing and another funnel and that. And it was just to sell stuff.
Right. I was just going to say, why were you doing that? Okay.
It was to sell stuff and make money.
But
To
doesn't
fund
everybody want to sell stuff and make money?
Yeah, but it was at the end of the day, what I wanted from it was about building something big and huge, which everybody does, and profitable, which everybody does. It was the way in which I was doing it. It was counter to everything I had ever done in my life, every business I had built, every when I, as you know, was in the speaking industry, that was a dream business. That was dream for me because it was first class, everything, everywhere, paid for, people transporting me so that I could go stand in front of people, talk to them, and teach them what I knew, that I was fortunate enough. And I traveled when I want, I spoke when I want, and it was a dream. I got into my head 2 years ago with one of the groups I was involved, software that I was using. And I saw the opportunity to help somebody market it. And Joey, I'm going to be totally vulnerable on this one here.
Good.
For the better part of 2 years, I had to figure out how to sell stuff, which breaks the rule number 2 of serve, don't sell. I was selling and then in the selling, serving. Don't get me wrong. The
Yeah.
products and services that were created and sold were all top quality. They were excellent. People wanted them and they bought them. There was no shyster.
Yeah.
But it was not anywhere near a dream life. I lived the dream life before this, and I went into this foolishly. Not foolishly. Again, I have 5 pieces of software in a marketplace and hundreds of products that haven't worked.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked, period. Could I put an ellipse in the word yet? You know, I've got all these assets. I've got great video creation software, blah, 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 and all that. But at the end of the day, what it took from me, it drained me, bro. I mean, for 2 years, that pace, 70 hours a week, pretty much every day but Sunday, having to build. I got 187 landing pages, and I look at all the funnels and the offers, and it was just, it's kind of like before in the speaking industry when you got a client, you did a gig, you did a keynote, and you came back and you're out of business. You got to do another one unless you figured out how to keep it going. And that wasn't a dream life by any imagination. And we've been talking about it for, I don't know, how long have you and I been hanging together? 2.5, 3 years now?
Yeah. Close to
10
3
years,
years
a
now.
billion years? I don't know. That's all we talk about is dream client and everything we do. And it's so yeah, bro. I think it was 2 months ago. I came to you, and people who listen to me and listen to us um, basically know that I don't use profanity. It's just something I've taken out of when I was on the platform. And bro, I'll just say 2 months ago, and I should probably find a date. And basically, I said to you, Joey, I'm fucked. I'm in debt big time. I borrowed money to keep the company going. And I see Petra's question. Yeah, I'm still the CEO of Be a Video Pro, which has Fast Video Creator and Fast Track Creator and 4 other pieces of software and an online marketplace. And it's all still alive and it's all still going and it's all still serving them. It's not consuming 70 hours of my life every week anymore. It's about a couple of hours just to keep what I built going until I figure out later on somebody come in, invest in that. But I said to you, Joey, I'm fucked. And I've never said that before. And yes, Netta, extremely painful beyond belief. There is a piece of my ego, my grandiose, that said, damn, I could build this thing and sell it for $100 million and do it with nothing. Do it from zero and finance the whole thing. Just doesn't happen with a software company. Can it be done with other ways and other things? Uh-huh. Can it be done with a dream business and a dream life? Uh-huh. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable. Thank you for that, because people need to hear it, not just your story, but you know, my entire purpose is to stop that from happening, stop the sacrifice. You know that. And you
Joey,
said
I'm
that.
going to jump back in here because,
Go ahead.
I want to keep it about me for a little bit, but about you also.
No problem.
Because
Keep going, bro. Keep going.
I called you last night because I had a realization. I'm now back doing, the landing page opt-in formula and my coaching and my consulting and copy and that, and just with your friendship, guidance, assistance, and everything we know, just putting it all together and getting it back out there and going back to building the dream life. In fact, last week I just did very little. I kind of took time away because that's what I used to do. And a part of me is like, well, you can't do it. You got to go make some money to pay all this debt. And the part of me was like, well, wait a second. What am I going to wait to start living the dream life again? So I went away for a couple of days. I went to a friend's place. I meditated. I did a lot of yoga. And I just didn't do stuff, even though it was like, okay, I want to get this stuff going. I need to do this, that, and that. And that was a difficult part, is changing the whole brain's mindset of what I got into for 2 years. I got to get up. I have to launch this thing, instead of, I don't feel like doing anything today. I'm going to go meditate out in the sun. I'm going to do 2 yoga classes, and that's it. But what I was calling you about was, I was talking to a potential one-on-one coaching client, and what I found out, this and what they needed. And I told them what the investment was going to be to have me for the next 6 weeks. It was a lot of money. And, for whatever, they chose not to. And I left it at that. And I came right back to him and said, this individual was transitioning completely from another life and decided he was going to get into the online world, that it seemed attractive. And he was starting to follow somebody that convinced him that he should build a course, and then they should put that course into a webinar and do an evergreen funnel and do an email sequence and do all that. And when I heard that, I kind of flipped. And I said, no. And what I said to them was, you need to go talk to Joey, and you need to get into Atlas. And this is not a marketing thing. Here's why. Because you're all about ensuring that people don't struggle and destroy their lives, because that's what happens when anybody follows 98% of the crap that's out there. They end up in rabbit holes, losing money, their family, they're ashamed, they're embarrassed. I told this guy, before you listen to anybody, go spend 3 months in Atlas with Joey and truly learn and understand what a dream client is, what a dream business is, and what a dream life is. And what if more people had that opportunity first and foremost? I did too. I was going to be I'll be playful. 2 years, I get to now talk about what I did, right, and transition back to in a whole different way, and do what I love to do, and just create the dream life and not the nightmare life, because it was. And it's like Groundhog Day. I lived Groundhog Day pretty much every day. Oh, I got to get up. Oh, I got to get up. And I got to go in. I got to get this funnel. I got to get this thing launched. And I got to respond to this and that and that and that and that. Thank you, Dan. I know everybody has their own horror story. And because of Joey and his whole philosophy, we are beginning to see the light. He and I've been blessed, Dan. I've been playing with Joey for 3 years and talking about all this stuff with him.
Thank you, guys.
Not just, Tuesday nights, but Joey, God, we've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours and unpacked things and that. And you know what? That's the beauty of a dream life, is you get to do that stuff with people. I do that now. I'm back to doing that, talking to people all over the world about stuff that I love and getting deep into them and helping them with my superpowers and and getting rid of the other stuff. Thank you, Petra, for not letting the little devil on your shoulder drag you back to work. It's interesting, Joey, what's going on here, isn't it?
It's so cool.
Again, I was the CEO of this and 5 software products and launching and making money. And hey, it made money and I understood and I built things and all these things, but it's not sustainable. It's not. Even we'll find an investor who will come in and do what I need it to do. I'm sure of that because of what it has, and get somebody to do it. but not. You're welcome, Lorna. Well, and Joey and I talked about this, and he asked me, "Were you willing to be vulnerable?" I said, "I'm ready, bro. I don't have. It's if we're not vulnerable." And that's why people watch the show. That's why people hire us. That's why people come to the group, and that's why people end up in our programs. Is because we're not like, "Hey, I'm sitting on a beach doing that." Yeah, I hang out in the yoga studio and do yoga every day, and but it has nothing to do with, let me show you what I've gotten with money, which is so inconsequential. To me, it's let me show you how this has enabled me to live a life that I love, which is being able to do this and be around incredible people and talk to incredible people. You heard the other day, Joey, I was talking to someone and I was like, holy crap, I'm 50 grand in debt from what I did. And yeah, I'll projects I'll get it taken care of, but just the spiritual malady of getting to that point and never, ever have been at that place. And then just, a lot of other things. And here it is. It's like, how much longer are you going to do this? And I was talking to someone and I was like, yeah, it kind of blows that this happens. And now, and, and then they're like, wait a second, Scott, how many yoga classes you do this month? Well, I'm on 32 already. Yeah, and you basically live in a yoga studio and you hang out with cool people and yoginis and you do what you love to do every day. Shut up. So again, but part of my life is the dream life. The other part was the nightmare life, and I was living them both.
Right.
And now I want that anymore. And I don't want it for anybody else. And that's, I'm going to go back to you, is why I said to that person, you need to spend 3 months with Joey and you need to understand it from the Atlas way. You even said to me, Scott, you haven't been to Atlas completely.
Right.
Obviously, we've talked about every single thing in and out, up and down that we're all about, and Atlas and Dream Client and all our philosophies and that. But I've never been through the exact thing. I've been through Dream Client Connection and I've been through Right Marketing Copy a couple of times. Just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
But
sure.
What I know is, being on the journey I've been on and in this whole thing from the get-go, pretty much for the last 28 years. I'll just put Scotty at 4 when I kind of remembered playing with internet stuff. And for me, anybody, it's like, if you really want to build a business online and go do this, yeah, there's all these other things and there's this group and that group and this, but you got to learn this stuff. You got to learn a dream client. You got to learn dream business. You got to learn dream life, because if you figure those things out first, there ain't nothing else you got to worry about, because you have a dream client who you build a tribe with. And I always love what you say, if my best friend paid me. Who would I want to hang out in a dream island? Well, Joey, but he's going to pay me.
Exactly. Yeah, the best of both worlds.
I'll hang out with him. I was like, okay. And again, Joey, you beat me up well, and I've allowed you to beat me up. And I fought you back throughout the journey, because in the part of my ego, grandiose mind was my dad. I'm going to build a $100 million company and sell it and just go do nothing, or just go do what I love to do and go build yoga resorts and ashrams and stuff like that. But you know what? I'll go back to the practice again, which I keep talking to about. It's part of this. What I've been able to do in 2 years and building all that, everything, and doing it. First of all, if I need to go make a video, I can make it faster than anybody with music, boom, done, finished, and go out and do something. And if I need to launch something or build an email sequence or a funnel or an automation that I can do. And so it didn't diminish from it. There was just a real sucky part of it, which was I'm not going to say losing 2 years. And again, going into the practice is, what did I get from that? It's something else.
There's always a gain from it. Like, I mean, I refer back to Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy's with The Gap in the Game, which, and if anybody has not read that, is an amazing way to live life, because we're always looking. Most of us look at the gap. Like, what did I lose? I lost 2 years by doing this. No, there's a major gain in everything that happens, right? It's like, what's the silver lining in this? I mean, I remember being really mad at one speaker when my dad died. It was about a year or so after the fact or something like that. And the dude gets on stage and says, "Yeah, there's always a positive thing from anything that happens, even the worst tragedy in the world." And I was so mad at that person because I just lost my dad. I'm like, who is this guy telling us that there's always a positive? But he was right. And it took me about 4 or 5 years after my dad died to figure out there is a silver lining to this, which is exactly where I am today, is why I'm so adamant about stop sacrificing your life.
Well,
This is a mission. My dad sacrificed his life, and I learned so much from his ethics and all that stuff, but he sacrificed his life, and I was doing the same thing. So now that's my mission, to help other people stop that, which which aligns with everything about the dream business. And yeah, the dream business, I want to go on another trajectory here on the dream business side, because something I want to bring up that is so important for everybody to understand what this is. It's not, it's there is the whole component of, this is amazing. This is my life and it's so great. Then there's the other side, which I never knew until it happened, which was last week. When we had a death in the family, my mother-in-law, and I was dealing with a lot of emotions and things like that, but as well waiting for the imminent to happen. But I was running my business at the same time, and it was a choice of when I could run the business during times of when I could, uh, and when I didn't need to, or whatever it was. And to me, that was another component of the dream business. And I hope this is coming across the right way, because it doesn't mean like, hey, someone is not doing so well and you're running their business. That's not what it means. It means that,
Joey, let me jump in here for a sec.
yeah,
Okay, hold your thought where it's going.
I'll try.
You, yeah, you and I a couple of months ago were talking about an internet marketer who used a personal situation in their families to actually sell something.
Right.
And there were emails about something happened to a family member, and because of the life they led, they were able to hire people to help with the
Oh,
situation.
right. Okay, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we're not getting into too much detail. And
Right.
they used it to transition. What I just want to say here is what you said came out exactly how it needed to. The fact that you didn't have to like go ask somebody for some time off. You didn't have to go be like, how am I going to do this with everything else that's going on? You had a life experience happen, and because of a dream business and a dream life, you were able to take care of it and do it for and with your family in a way that it should be done. Not like, holy crap, how are we both going to get off work in order to go and take care of this and that thing and this? And then we got to do all this. And so I just want to honor you that you're sharing it, not to say, well, you should join Atlas because
Yeah,
then
it's yeah.
if somebody in your family gets sick, you don't have to worry about it. So go
Yeah.
on.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's exactly right. It's not to sell a program or sell me or coaching or anything. I just wanted to frame it that there's this other side of the dream business that I didn't know existed until it happened. And which is why it's so important to have a dream business. It's so important that, and the way that I, told my crew or my tribe and everything on the calls was, there's a point where, or actually now it doesn't even with that. Anyway, any time throughout the year, I can turn on and turn off the faucet. That was the best way for them to understand what a dream business is really about. And that goes completely opposite of what you went through the last 2 years. Like, I got to get up next week and launch this freaking thing. Meanwhile, me, I'm like, I don't have to do anything. It's when
Right.
I want to do it and when I'm able and willing to do this thing in order for me to turn on and turn off the faucet, which to me is a dream. To me is like, as soon as I turn this on, I know that it's going to work and dream clients will be there and it will work. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm on a soapbox here, but it's setting it up to have that ability to do that. And even when something like that happens last week or whatever, you can
Right.
turn it off and nothing is affected. People are like, what's happening? You're not contacting, like, whatever it is. It's like the dream clients fit the dream business, and your dream business fits your life. So whatever, your life is always first. And the greatest thing about it is that it all it all corresponds. Whatever happens in your life, the other pieces adapt to your life, including the dream clients. Nobody ever responded, at any time, not even, forget last week, but even afterwards, like, hey, you haven't responded to my email in whatever, or I forget about an email, and it drops through the cracks. And I look at it and it's 2 weeks later or something. I go, oh my God, I totally missed the ball on this. I'm so sorry. They don't they don't treat me as if, right, like, expectations are different in a
Mhm.
dream business.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to say. And that is another part of the dream that I never realized until the impact of last week. Like, shit, this is just totally amazing. And I'm so blessed to have that in my life. And that's what I want for everybody else, is that ability. If that makes any sense. Thank you, Lorna, by the way, for sharing the gap in the gain. Amazing, amazing, amazing book.
Hey, Joey,
Yeah.
for those who watching live, watching on the replay, watching us in Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and any other social media platform that we might happenstancely be broadcasting to, the realization too that you tell your story all the time, and a few years ago you realized that this was the way to go. You've always realized it in the books you've written and everything, and you started doing it, and you started, and in just the span of a couple of years,
Yeah.
you it's not like 10, 20 years. And we can go back, and I've got a little advantage in as I transition back to my dream life, because I've been there, done that, and I'm out there with you and that, and I'm known that it's not going to take me that much to have to build. You built this thing, and you started with, you built it and you created it, and it's proven. And the beauty of it is now they just get to follow you because you've done it and you've tried it and you've figured it out. And one of your superpowers is, and we share this, is once we figure something out, we want to make it better, more efficient, and simpler. And yes, I multiply things too, but I also, how do I make this thing simpler? I don't want to take 5 steps when I can take one or maybe even a half, or not take a step at all. And that's what I love watching you continue to do, is evolve it and evolve it. And that's the beauty. And it's another lesson for anybody watching is, as you do that, each time the tweaking of what was this thing, what was Strategic Marketing Club that then turned into this. And as you continue to learn, and the valuable gold from everybody, and you said, oh, and you listened to it, and you took it and you went to the next thing. Everybody that gets to follow you, you get to look and say, okay, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and this shouldn't happen, and that. And that's going back to how you opened the show. Guidance and insight were the words that you use, and those have been a recurring theme in my life for the past few weeks. Mine's been guidance and intuition on a different level, but it's also for us the guidance and intuition, and that's what you do so well, is you
Thanks.
provide the guidance and the insight on how to do this thing. Yeah, I've made a lot of money in the past and I've done a lot of cool things, but who did I decide to kind of chat about with as I'm getting back into my life? I've got a lot of choices and a lot of things, and I could do a lot and build different funnels and launch different things, and joint ventures and speaking and coaching and consulting. And I'm like, Joey, you know me better. What should I do?
Yeah.
And of course, it was landing page opt-in formula. And again, I'm going to jump back to earlier. I have no regrets about what I did, and I'd go back and do it all over again. I was on a call the other day, and I was like, yeah, I've got 184 landing pages. You want to see them? I said, I I didn't say how many of you built, but they had built one. I said, I think I might know a little bit about landing pages
Did
after
all of
building.
those? Did you launch all of the 184 pages and they all worked?
No,
How many of
no,
them worked?
probably 100 of them.
100. That's still a crap load of landing pages that worked.
Well, again, I launched 100 products and they worked. And again, the landing pages and that, the email sequences
So,
and the
like, you launched. What do you mean by worked, bro? Because this is, you know, it's a little challenging for me if you're telling me that they worked, and then you're telling us as well that it
what
didn't
I
for
mean by
less.
worked is I learned how to build a landing page that would get a visitor to do what was needed to do, whether it was watch it, whether it was opt in, whether it was go to the next step, then onboard them successfully, get them to do what needed to be done to the next few steps to get to their email, to get it open, like you talk about, like we talk about, and get them to whatever it is, make that purchase, do that action. The numbers were not enough of them.
So
It
then that's what I mean is like that's why I'm lovingly challenging you on this because
go for it.
I
Yeah.
had, not I think I had close to 100 opt-in pages as I was building throughout my treacherous time learning from all the aggressive marketers out there. And I remember one dude said, you put a landing page out or a lead magnet out every week and eventually you'll get a winner type of thing. I'm like, okay, I'll try that. I ended up with almost 100 and I've shown or we've talked about the two main landing pages that I have working or whatever you want to call them, lead magnets that are like 60 plus opt-ins every single day. Literally, and it's been going like that for years and years and years. But it took, I don't know, 80 of these things that totally bombed. Like I would not say that they worked, even though I got opt-ins. So that's where I think that people need to hear this, at least
Yeah.
from my perspective, bro. This is just my perspective, right?
No,
There's
Joey,
like there's a level of did this work? And you could say, well, one guy opted in. That means the headline worked. And yes,
no.
it theoretically worked.
What I'm talking about, Joey, is not that. What I'm
Yeah.
talking about is that I created funnels and landing pages that did everything they needed to do successfully to get people to buy something that was going to help them solve a problem, accomplish a purpose. It wasn't a bomb. I didn't put it out there and crickets and nobody did it. I always was able to make most of them work because I knew my audience. I was selling to people that already knew us, liked us, and trust us. This was not to cold traffic. All of this was not to cold traffic. This was to our tribe. I was able to constantly build sequences and emails and landing pages and products to sell to them. I didn't have enough of them, and there weren't
So
enough.
okay, but doesn't that lend to like the spiral of what happened in your business or not? Because in my mind, that's the way I would see it. If I was coaching you and you came to me and said, I did this, this, and this, and I'm like, well, which one of those worked? And you're like, all of them, then I'd be like, okay, well, then why are you still in debt? Or like, why is your business the way it is? Because yeah, you could sell 4 or 5 of them like I was doing over whatever the last 8 years, not the last 8 years, but the 8 years prior to the last three, whatever it was, and say, yeah, things worked and I was selling these things, but I was still struggling, not a dream business. And I think that sometimes that gets into people's heads because I still see it every day. They wear this busy badge of honor. I'm going to do all of these pages. I'm going to add another product. I just had a conversation that's got to be like, geez, I had like 34 comments, mine alone, in Kajabi with one person about this one thing. I'm going to add another thing. And we went back and forth like 34 times for me alone, just discussing this one thing to open their mind to say, you don't need another thing. You don't need it. You need to simplify.
Oh,
And
I totally agree with you. There's no doubt that that's the answer. And again, if we want to one day evaluate which, I don't think it's important. The point you're making, I believe that they were successful because they made thousands of dollars each time I launched something.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It
that's the measurement is what, like, what is that's why I don't know. The answer is not that I'm right or you're like, whatever it is for you. If you said, I want to make $1,000 from this and
Yeah.
that's success to me, that's fine. Just I want the reason I'm bringing it up is to have everybody who's listening have a measurement. You can't know if something is successful unless you have a measurement. And this is one of the things that I did not have. Once I hired my coaches and it's like, what's the measurement? I'm like, I don't do that kind of stuff. Well, then no wonder your business isn't growing. You don't know what's working and what's not working. Okay. And this person I had this conversation with last week that I'm talking about, this is a very successful business. Very successful, but got to the point now, well, webinar's not working, the evergreen thing's not working anymore, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that sales process funnel is not working, which I've predicted I don't know how many times. It's going to get worse for a lot of us. Um, but that's the thing, not go add another thing. It's like, okay, this process isn't working anymore, and there's a reason for it. And looking at why isn't it working, and then not adding more stuff, but adapting because the market is already there. It's just the process isn't working anymore. You don't add more products or services. Anyway, what does the dream business look like for you? Like, what is it? How do you measure it? How will you know when you have a dream business?
When I can wake up and do whatever I feel like doing every day. That to me is dream business. But if I don't want to do anything, I don't have to. That was my dream business. I had my clients, I had my recurring revenues, and I was happy doing what I was doing. And it was probably engaging 5, 6 hours a week, telling people what to do, and then just living life, doing what I wanted. That's what I was doing, and that's what I want to get back to.
I'd like to hear from anybody who's watching or maybe even on the replay. Maybe like, what does a dream life look like to you? It's so important to have this setting up the future. And I love Darren Hardy and Ben and Dan Sullivan, as you know. I'm always recommending their books. The latest book I just finished is from him is called Be Your Future Self Now. I think that's what it's called. Again, a highly, 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 highly recommended that everybody read that. And it's very important that we understand how much we affect ourselves in the future by doing the decisions that we're making today, or not the decisions. And I've been on this for a little while because I knew the book was coming out and talking about this with my coaches in the group. And now that I've read the book, it was like it's even more clear that the simplicity of it is, how do you make your future self, how do you make that life easier? By doing the things today and looking into the future rather than the past. Because you've heard it so many times before where people are like, if you can go back 10 years and tell your younger self, what would you tell them? That's fantastic, but you can't do anything about it. Like, well, what if you do it in the future? What if you said, what if I transport myself into the future 5 years? What would my future self tell me to do today? And that's the concept. And it's not a concept, it's reality, because we're driven by goals, right? We're driven by, here's what I want to get to. But the fact is that so many people don't invest in their future because they want short-term goals today. And this is part of the dream business. And this is something I'm going to, like, in the new Atlas coming up in July, I'm going to talk a lot about this, because this is another part of it that again, you talked about making it better, always making the product better and everything else. When I read this book, I'm like, okay, there's a component here that I need to teach there, so that they understand what they're doing is making their future life easier by doing these other things that they can't see working. Because that's a big, downfall, if you want to call it that, or a hidden, I shouldn't say downfall. It's a hidden benefit of Atlas, right? Is when you can't see the ROI of what you're doing, but you're actually investing in your future self, so that your future Joey will say thank you. Because when I go back, and I'm sure I'm putting words in your mouth, but I'm assuming this is right, that you go back and today's Scott is thanking 2 years ago Scott. Thank you for doing that crap, because here's what you taught me. Am I right?
Yeah.
And so imagine now if you transport it into the future 2 years from now and saying, "Oh, well, I want this dream life." And you have to be very specific about what that dream life is. And then you say, and for example, whatever, even when you decided to lose weight and do yoga and all the challenges you did in yoga, you were looking at the future Scott. You were asking future Scott, like, what do I need to do? And
Hmm.
future Scott said, go to yoga every day and do these planks for 50 days in a row or whatever you did, right? And if you want to lose the gut, here's what you're going to do. Am I right?
Yeah.
So you were asking future Scott, what do I need to do? And you invested that thing in today to make
Yeah.
future Scott, to get future Scott, right? And this is
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Thank you, Lorna. Look at her. She's just given the books. There it is. Perfect. I'm sure you can click on them, but let's see what you said. So, like, what do you think about that, Scott, before we get into Lorna's comment here?
Well, what do I think about it? It's what do I know about it? Um, Everything you're talking about started either in a journal
Yeah.
of is exactly what I want. My whiteboards. I whiteboarded that said, abs by this date. And then it was every single, what do I have to do to get there? And it was future Scott saying, I don't want you to be obese anymore. I want you to be in the best shape of pretty much anybody's life that you know. And this is what you're going to have to do to get there.
Right.
And it goes to, will it make the boat go faster?
Right.
And it came down to that was every decision I make now, when it came time to the Olympic race, will I be ready to win the gold? And a
Right.
year ago, I wasn't ready to do anything. Now it's like, okay, what's next? And for me now, that, and I like the way you put it, and I totally agree with it, is what did I want future Scott to life to be like for the next 40 years? Was, well, what if you were in, peak this, you could do this, this, and this. So I got the tough part done. Now it's the easy part, which
Yeah.
is, okay, future Scott, what do you need Scott to do? 2 years ago, we did all this to figure all this out. Now, we need him to go take his superpowers out. And I'll share this with everybody because I told you on my life purpose call that my buddy just challenged me and he said, what if you came before your maker and your maker said, I gave you an assignment, and the assignment was that you were supposed to share your gifts and you didn't. So because of that, you're going back. Only this time you're going to go back and figure it out as a pigeon. And I'm like, whatever. I'm like, and I realized that, why would I waste everything that I've got when it's what I love to do most? You and I, Tuesdays, it's like, it's what I love to do. I love to help people.
Yeah.
And, that was a dream life. There was a part of me that, for whatever reason, needed to do what I just did to be able to come out on the other side and say, yeah, I built so many landing pages and email sequences, welcoming, onboarding, that's going to help you get your person to opt in. And that, which is the foundation now of what I'm helping people do, because it's the first most important thing. So that's going to help future Scott, help me now to get back into the dream life, because I'm doing it the Atlas way also.
Yeah. And when we talk about the future, it's kind of this, like, to wrap your head around it. It's not just what I learned from the book is this, is that it's one thing about setting goals, it's one thing about knowing where you are, want to go and all this, but it's another thing, the extra level is realizing that the future you is not the same you as you are now. And to wrap your head around that, everybody who's listening, if you think back 10 years ago about what you cared about, what you loved and all these other things, would you say you're the same person today as 10 years ago? And if you want to participate in the chat, let me know. Do you think you're the same person as you were 10 years ago, thinking the same things, wanting the same things, all that? Put it in the chat, and I'll ask you, Scott, what do you think? Are you the same person?
No way.
Right. So
Not even
that's
close to the same person I was 10 years ago.
yeah. So that means that the future you is going to be different, is already different than who you are today, except we can't see that. We can only look backwards and go, oh yeah, that's that. I've graduated or matured so much in 10 years, but I'm done now. Like I'm where I'm at, and I'm probably not going to grow as much as I did in the last 10 years in the next 10. We always think that, and that's total BS, because we will. And and you know that I've said this before, uh before even this all happened with Ben's book. I remember telling you that years ago, I don't know how many years ago, it was a long time ago, that I said, all I want to do is get up out of bed, walk 10 steps, and coach people all day long. That's what I wanted. So I was setting up future Joey and not knowing it. And like, how am I going to make that happen? Yeah, I went through a lot of pain and anguish and all these other things. But everything that I did in my world was about, how do I make that happen? How do I make that dream life that all I have to do is show up with this? And I would tell my wife that too. I go, what would be amazing is if I get hired to go to an event or something, and all I got to do is not even pack a bag, just I got to show up with this. It would be amazing, right? And that's setting up that future self. But here's the thing that Ben said, which is amazing, is that you have to treat your future self as a different person. When you look into the future, you can't just say, well, I want these other things, and how am I going to get that? No, you're speaking to the future self as they are a different person, and you have empathy for that person. So if future Scott is thin and whatever, you have empathy for that person, and you feel um whatever it is, you have empathy for that person. So how am I going to, it's like you and I do this work all the time. We have empathy for people. I don't want people to sacrifice their business. I don't want them to sacrifice their time. I have empathy. It's not about sounding Atlas or anything else. It's like, I really want this person to have a better life, right? So I have empathy. And how am I going to help them do this? It's the same thing as when we look at our future. It's the same thing. How do I have empathy for future Joey and future Lorna and future Scott? And it looks like we got some comments here, which is definitely different now, right? Lorna's saying she's not the same person as she was 10 years ago. I'm not the same person 4 years ago. We weren't the same person as we were yesterday. Same desires, different person. That's awesome. That's cool. Desires. This is wow, Kyla, you brought up a whole nother level of a discussion that we can't get into today, because this will take us for another hour about desire. You are absolutely right.
Yep.
Because desire is something that is there. It's not something that we can instill in other people and all that stuff. And this is where people, when we talk about marketing, is like, yeah, convince them to do things. You can't convince people to do anything. When you totally tap into your desire and know what that is, that doesn't change. So maybe we'll talk about that. I'm going to write that down, because that's an excellent topic to talk about. Thank you for bringing that up, Kyla. Not even the same as last week. Right on, Patrick. Look at that. Closer to the goal now. Hey guys, don't know who that is, but hi. And I want to go back to what Lorna said here about dream life. Didn't forget
That
about
could
you.
be, I wonder if that's Angel. Sometimes that's Angel's smiley faces. I'm just guessing. Could be wrong. Wild guess.
You want to read that, Scott?
Sure. Lorna says, my dream life, ease into my morning routine to be grounded for the day, be excited to serve my tribe, enjoy time with my family, travel, have someone make my meals, not have to say no to family within reason because of work. Yep.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. The more specific you make your dream life, the better it's going to be. And all you're doing is you're having a conversation with future Lorna. What do you want me to do, future Lorna, to make this happen? And it's an exercise, like, and when you read the book, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't want to steal Ben's thunder, but it just spoke to me so much, because I witness a lot of people giving up their future self, even if it's next week or the week or next year or the following, 12 months or whatever, for these short-term goals. And here's the other problem, which is why I brought up the challenge of like launching all these things, is they even if they understand, well, I want this in 12 months and I know it's going to take time, they still want the thing to happen so fast. In other words, in our world, it's like, let's get the system built. Let's get all this thing happening. Whereas the investment into your future, into a dream life, is the tiny things that you do. It's the one small step that you do that compounds over time, right? Is when I went into Kajabi and started helping in there, nothing happened for 6 months, but it was the tiny step, one step after one step, and then all of a sudden it looked like, holy crap, who is this guy? But that was compounded over time. Thoughts?
Rewinding just a little bit, and I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just want to reinforce the importance of specificity on what it looks like. And I'll share with you, for years I had put out in my future Scott wanted a certain partner, spiritual, attractive, sensual, intelligent, in the integrative holistic world, and practiced yoga. And guess what the universe gave me? That exact what I asked for. I wasn't specific enough because this person had all of the things I had asked for, but there were a couple of missing pieces, which had to do with it is Angel, which had to do with the well-being of the individual from an emotional standpoint. And I now need to be more specific in the next time that I put that out. And the specificity in anything, I want to be financially abundant. Well, what does that look like? I want to make a lot of money. What does that look like? And you do it all the time. We play it all the time. I want to make $100,000 a year. Okay, well, if you got a $2,000 product, then you got to sell 50 of them to $100,000 a year, which is one a week. You only need to do one a week to make your 100 grand. What is it? Is it 500,000? Okay, is it? I did it the other day with someone. It's like, I want to do this and that and that. And I wanted this a year. Well, is it really a year or is it 10 months? You and I have had this conversation. Is it? Well, you want to work for a year? No. You want to work for 9 months, 10 months? What is it? How many weeks off do you want? So what is it? How do you do that? And just being really, really specific in what exactly the dream looks like.
Yeah. And Scott, you know that when we talk about the dream business, I said to you, people, well, I wanted to work 4 days a week. That's not specific enough. And my world is like, I don't want to work I don't want to speak to a human before 1 o'clock every day.
Right.
That's it. I'm going to work 4 days a week. And if I want to do anything on Friday, I will, but I don't have to. I'll do these others, and I get to do these, and I don't want to do anything before 1 o'clock or have to speak at all to anybody before 1 o'clock. That is specific. There's my 4 hours a week or my 4 days a week and 4 hours a day. So you're right. Like, be very specific about how you want that dream business, and you will be surprised at what the universe delivers. It's amazing.
And Joey, I'm going to thank you because I made a decision a couple of weeks ago that the mornings are mine to do what I want for my stuff. If it's collaborating with somebody, if it's building, if it's working on my program, or nothing, and then yoga's at noon. I'll talk to people afterwards, 2 o'clock on. That's it, from 2 o'clock on. And Friday afternoons are my son, Monday afternoon. So really, there's like 3 afternoons in the week that I'll say I'll talk to people. And that's kind of was when I was talking to someone, it's like, here's how we engage. Blah, blah. If we talk, we set times in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, if you want 2, 3, or 4, that's it.
Because and that's what I mean is people don't either don't design that, or they violate what they said. And that's
Right.
what I mean by sacrificing. I'm not saying you never break the rules, because I'd be lying if I said that I am perfectly doing that, right? However,
I don't know. You're pretty close to perfect about doing nothing before.
I'm pretty close, but there are
Pretty close.
there are points, right?
It was
Um,
funny when we were. I'm going to jump in here
go
because
ahead, man.
there, there, we had been doing what we've been doing and this and masterminding and this and chatting and this and meeting and everything, and it was always afternoon, and it wasn't even a thought process. And then there was one time something happened where you couldn't make it, and I found out that you had gone somewhere at 8:30 in the morning
Yeah.
to some event, and I was like, "Wait a second, what? No, it just playing
Yeah.
here, of course, obviously, but that's really the only time in almost 3 years that I can even think about where I was like, how did you actually like wake up, Joey? How
Yeah.
did you, what was that? Because that's what you've done. And like I told you, I decided last week that I was going to start living that life, even though, I got so much to do. Like, why would I wait? Why don't I just do it now? And then like schedule things that need, like here, seriously, bro, like I told you, I'm launching the next version of the landing page opt-in formula in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, I said I'm going to update the offer Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And tomorrow I'm going to do this at 3 o'clock. It's like I'm doing everything for that, even that in the afternoon,
Right.
because my
Right.
mornings are still, playing with something else that I'm playing with because it's what I love to do, playing with building something that's really what I love doing rather than, don't get me wrong, I didn't not love doing all the things I did for 2 years because it was incredible. But at the end of the day, it's not my dream life.
Right. And I want to go back to something you said regarding the specificity of bringing someone into your life. And I wanted to parallel that to the dream client and the anti-avatar. As you know, we do that exercise, which is a very simple T chart. Here's the dream client, here's the anti-avatar. And that's why it's so important to do that exercise, is who don't I want in terms of who they are, because you can specify this person over here, somebody who laughs or whatever, but like when you have as well your reticular activator, your little brain dude over here looking for the red flags of people, then are repelled automatically from you allowing them into your life. That's why the anti-avatar is such an important thing to put in. And I've had people say, "Well, I don't want to do that or leave anybody out, or is that really, the right thing to do, or something like that." And it's not against any human being. It's about how do we fit our dream life or dream client into our life to make this dream business. So it is about your life first, and the people that are charging your batteries like all day long. It has nothing to do with them like judging them as people. It's just they are not a fit because they drain your batteries. That's all it is. So it's so important to have the specificity on both sides. Here's what I don't want.
Totally agree.
I love seeing you live your dream life, Scott. I don't know who that is. Maybe it's
That's
still Angel.
probably Angel
Maybe
again.
yeah.
Nameless Angel.
So yeah, the dream life is all about like the best of things, and it also is important to have the dream life when it's at the worst of times, because it allows you to function without worry, without stress. I'm telling you this because I just went through it, and it's like I've never had that before. And it's because I'm a workaholic. I'm a recovering workaholic. Um and being an entrepreneur my entire life, it was always, when am I going to be able to get back and just catch up on things? I remember one of my best friends when we were in the studio together, and he would, and I think he's still like this. If he's listening, you know who you are, bro. And he would like, dude, I got to get away. Like, I just need to get away for 2 weeks. I just can't handle the pressure anymore. There's like constant, reactive all day long. Okay. And when I was coming out of that, because I was the same way, and then I changed, and then I came out of that in 2008 or something like that, starting to make the transition to like, bro, we can't run a business like this anymore. And anyway, so he would go away, and it would be a dream. He'd be like, this is the best thing ever, like the best thing ever. And then he'd come back, and it would be like chaos because of the 2 weeks that he was away, of all the stuff that would pile up in his mind, and it would be worse. So he would be worse than he was before he left. I'm not saying don't go away, but it was like, is this a way to live, that you're running a business to try and get a vacation from it? Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And then it's worse. It's not even that it's like you came back and you were not like that. You didn't come back and say, holy crap, I got 2 days to catch up here, right? It was a completely different thing. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people like that, Scott.
Yeah.
Like, they need to get away because the business is not a dream or whatever, and there's so much stress. And then maybe they can unplug for a couple of days or 2 weeks, whatever it is, but then they come back and they're 1,000 times more stressed because of all the stuff that they still got to catch up on. And that leads to more stress, which leads to the next, I need to get away vacation. How long can you do that?
Yeah. Yep.
How long can you do that?
I don't remember whose landing page I was looking at, but that was the premise, and that was becoming probably ultimately the headline was, vacation's not going to work. Another vacation's just not going to help. And it's like, you're right. I told you, I went to my friend's house for a couple of days and stayed an extra day because it was just too relaxing. And then I was like, you know what? I really want to do much this week because I just don't feel like it. And then my birthday, and I said, I'm going to do yoga today and nothing else. And then I helped my friend move a couch Sunday. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go hang out at my friend's house again for a couple hours and just meditate. And then like, okay, I'll get back into things. Build a life you don't need a vacation from. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Joey, you asked me earlier, what's my dream life is. I wake up and kind of don't have to do anything. I have to again, and just kind of hang out with people that I want to talk to about cool things that I can help them with my guidance and insight and experience, and help them not struggle like you and make their lives easier with what I already know. And that's, to me, a cool way. I'm going to read Lorna's, okay?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not always a great employee, haha. But after finding my values the hard way, I had 2 amazing jobs that supported me when my husband was sick. And when he passed away, if I can do that with an employer, I can do that for myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think
Thank
this is
you,
Angel
Lorna.
again. Your happiness is so valuable. I think that's her.
Yeah, she's really good with emojis and things and stuff and things that jump on, and
Just got to get her to get her picture up there.
Sometimes she's up there. I don't know. Maybe she's on wherever she's on.
Yeah.
From whatever device she's on. You got to fix the Facebook thing, Joey. Come on, talk to Mark. Tell him to fix it.
It's not me. It's him.
I know. You got to do things to do things to do things. Like, you got to get an app to use our product. I guess I ain't using your product then.
Often when I start, go ahead, Scott.
Go on.
All right. Often when I start working with people, they've worked themselves into a 7-day week business. That's why I like to start with the question, what does your perfect life look like? Yeah.
Yeah. I was on with someone the other day.
What does your perfect day look like? Life look like?
Angel. Tell us what
is your perfect life?
I was talking to someone the other day, Joey, and it was like, yeah, and I'm doing this and that and that. And I said, congratulations. You're working yourself into a job. Because, I'm going to get a couple more one-on-one clients, and then I'm going to this. And now I was like, so now you have to work 40, 45, 50 hours a week, and then keep finding more people.
Yeah.
I was on with someone the other day, and it was like, yeah, I want to do a group program, and then they get this much one-on-one time with me. And I said, take a marker and cross that part out right now. Just get rid of it. There's no one-on-one time with you, because then, well, how many people? Well, I want 100 people. Well, that's 100 people, one-on-one time twice a month. That's 100. Yeah. Angel says I strive to have a 3-day work week.
So, Angel, what you got to do is ask your future self, what is it going to take to do that? And I remember, even when I first started doing the 50-minute focus sessions, Scott, that was the day where, if I think back to this, is when I was maybe doing a future self thing I didn't know I was doing. And that was, okay, the first thing I did was reverse the way that I approach every day, as most people approach it from a reactive stance. You know that. They get up, check their phone, check their emails. Everybody's telling me what to do, and they're in reactive mode. And so I decided that's not going to be me. And the only reason was that because that sign behind me is so different, because I do everything different than everybody else. And because I was looking at clients who were at the time real estate investors and realtors, and you know how they are, boom, reactive with their phones basically sewed into their ear. I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the opposite and try to tell them. And that's the only one of the reasons why I did it. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to make my entire first 4 days of the week be active, proactive, that I'm controlling. And then I'm going to leave one day of the week to be reactive. So I'm going to reverse the whole thing. And that's how it all started with my 4-day week. It was like, okay, well, if these 4 days I can now focus 80%, like doing the 50-minute focus session, and I can get 80% of my productivity done, and I'm leaving open this day for the world to come at me reactive, not caring about what really goes on that day, everything changed for me. So it was, again, predicting or saying to me, how am I going to be different than everybody else? But it actually changed my business. So that's why I'm asking Angel, what does it take for your future self? What does your future self tell you that you need to do right now in order to make a 3-day week? And that could very simply mean saying that I'm not working on Fridays or Mondays or whatever. And be able to take off time whenever I want, so I have a passive income that allows that freedom. Right. What's the specificity? What does it all mean? Can you give us some specifics? Entrepreneurs are the only people on earth who are willing to work 80 hours a week. So yeah. Yep, that's so true. I'm one of them.
I love it, Dan. That's great. I love it. That's wonderful.
It's so true.
Really good. That is so good.
It's so true. But here's the thing, right? You and I, bro, like, to me, what I do is not work at all.
I don't use that word. You know that.
It's like, even when I'm talking about my friend who loved the vacations time, and there's a whole other avenue of like, well, the vacation, and I'm like, I don't like going on vacation. I just don't like it. And to me, I just wanted to get back and be in my world. And he would not understand that. Okay. And now it's a little bit different. Yeah, I like to go here and there. But to me, I didn't need to go at that point because I didn't need to get away. And he never understood that. I felt homesick when I would go away because I loved so much of what I was doing in the daytime. And the vacation meant, well, you don't do that anymore. Just sit on the beach and do nothing or whatever. And I felt disconnected from it, which is a whole other topic, right?
A whole other topic.
But it was like, I don't need to get away from this, man.
Joey, for 6 months, years ago, I went sailing every day. That's all I did. I woke up and I went sailing, and I didn't need to go on vacation because I was on vacation every day. The different houses I've had were usually on the water, and my office was behind the house with water toys behind it. What did I need to go on vacation for? I would go. I spent 380 days in Marriott's over the course of a few years, and all the other hotels. What did I needed to go away to a hotel for? I was always in hotels, and I got to play in hotels and kind of tell them what to do because we were teaching them what to do.
Yeah.
Why would I want to go to a hotel on a vacation when home was so much better? So I agree with you.
Netta says, I feel like I've hardly ever worked if work equals not doing what I love. I had plenty of sabbaticals, not because I needed a break or because I was doing nothing, but because I have several things in my life that I love doing, and traveling is one of them. I totally get it, Netta. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And it's one thing for me. It it was not like travel was not a big thing for me. It still really isn't a big thing for me. And it's nothing against it. It was just but it was the mentality of why my partner was
Right.
doing it. Like he loves traveling and stuff too. I get that, but it was more of I need to get away, and I
Right.
was never in that mindset whatsoever. And now it's amazing because I set up my life the way that I want it with all the income goals and all that kind of stuff happening. But it's with people I love and all these other things, all the stuff we talk about every day, every week on this show. And
Don't stop doing it, Joey.
yeah, just know what your life is supposed to be like. And the less specificity you have, it's not going to come true for you. You have to have specificity or the universe doesn't know what to deliver. And your future self is benefiting from the choices you make today, or you're draining your future self. You're hindering your future self by allowing fear to control you, by by not making the investment, time, money, energy into something now that will benefit your future self. Just like if you ask, I'm sure if I asked any one of you, hey, would you have liked to buy real estate back in the 80s? He would say, yeah, but housing prices are crazy right now. Well, guess what? When is the right time to plant a tree? You know the answer, right, Scott?
What's the answer, Joey?
Come on, you know the answer to this.
No, I want you to give the answer.
What's the answer? What's the answer to like when's the best time to plant a tree?
Right now.
20 years ago.
Well, yeah.
Or right now. Yeah, 30 years ago or today. Thank you, Lorna. We stumped Scott.
You got me. You got me on the planting the tree thing. And thank you, Lorna, for allowing me to have the right answer also.
Yeah, the right time to plant a tree is 30 years ago or 20 years ago or today, right now. And it's the same thing. Is whatever is holding you back right now and sitting on the sidelines is not going to do it for you. It's like stepping out into doing right now what it is that your future self says that you need in order to create the dream life that you want. And it's always about the smaller step. It's not about the whole thing. Because if you think that you need the whole thing in place, it'll never happen. And you're going to be sitting on the sidelines waiting. And then you'll be talking to your past self. You should have done this 5 years ago. And now look where we are. Now it's too late. Now there's too many people teaching the same thing I'm teaching. Or now this, whatever. Just do the thing right now. If that's the last piece of advice I can give you for today, that would be it. Any final thoughts, Scott?
No, just we've we've unpacked a lot and talked about a lot. And I just want to add one thing, and I understand because you hear it all the time. Well, if I go start living my dream life, but I don't yet have the money to live my dream life, how should I live my dream life? As though you have the money to live your dream life. Because the faster you start living it, the faster your future self actually exists now. And you again, it's when I started the whole physical journey, it was looking at each day, and I didn't wait and like I'll start it then. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm obese. I'm obese a year ago. I'm not obese, and each day was getting to the point where that went away. And
Yeah,
it's the
but you
same.
didn't also, one second, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because you didn't say, I'm going to get healthier and then so I can actually go do these things to get non-obese.
Right.
Right? You didn't say, let me learn how to do 50 push-ups, right? You said, let me learn how to do one.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. And again, Joey, I never used the word obese, but the fact was 60 pounds overweight is obese. And so now I use it because I'm not. But yeah, you're exactly right. It wasn't, let me figure out and study how to do abs. It was like, holy crap, I watched her do it. And then I found someone and we started doing it, even though there weren't any abs yet, but I was doing them, acting as if, but this wasn't acting as if, this was doing it and showing up and just doing the things we need to do as though we were living that life, and we are that person because we are. So there.
Love it, man. Love it. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show again on another Tuesday night. If you are here live, #live, let us know. #replay if you're watching the replay. And we will see you again next Tuesday, which is already in July. And who knows what we'll talk about next week. It'll come
Who
up.
knows?
Maybe it'll be about this desire thing, because I love that topic too. So maybe it'll be about that. I don't know.
That's that could bring in some interesting chakra conversations and all kinds of stuff. Who knows? Stay tuned.
That's a good topic, only because of questions I get is like, what happens when you get bored of what you're doing? And I always bring that up. That's because you don't have a desire for it.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Okay, that's a good place to leave it at, Joey. I like it.
Ciao.